So this is a Siemens white jumper, source unknown, but the year is 1951, and it's a little bit yellowed here, of course, but it's made out of material that they called white drill, which is kind of a heavy cotton. Prior to the Second World War, most of the seamen were wearing jumpers. Their white jumpers were made of something that they called white duck, which was a much heavier textile that's closer to a light canvas. And it was also, even in tropical climes, a bit warm to wear. So towards the late 30s, they started issuing uniforms of white drill, and they didn't actually become official until after the Second World War. But after that, all white uniforms were made of the white drill, and they added the what they call blue tapes at the cuffs and the bottom. And this actually has a sewn-in collar. The white uniforms were unique in that they had the sewn-in collar. Other seamen's uniforms would have had a collar that actually they tied on and then put their jumper on. And then later, as we modified uniforms in the 50s, they would have had a button-in collar that buttoned onto their jumper. And one, you'll see here that it's got a zipper in front, and that's another Canadian innovation from around 1950. We did some things like we put a zipper in, so that sailors didn't have to pull the jumpers over their heads. And we put in, we also introduced a plastic cap, as opposed to the previous ones, which were kind of made of a canvas material. And you can see he's got his silk here and his white tapes. He would have been a stoker, so a marine engineer, and you can see the Canada flashes, which started becoming mandatory for wear in 1948, although they were worn by many people prior to that.
What was the purpose of that big square back collar?
Well, the story is initially they were worn to keep the tar from sailors' pigtails from staining their uniforms.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. The story of the silk is that that sailors would wear silks as bandanas, and then in action they would tie them around their ears to dampen the sounds of the gunfire, so they didn't go deaf.
Or eyes deaf.
Yeah. And this would have been worn with what they called a white front or a gun shirt underneath, which was a white cotton singlet with blue tape across the front. And then, of course, the white bell-bottom trousers. And, of course, our sailors stopped wearing these in 1968 or shortly thereafter with unification when we went to a common green uniform.